You've probably seen this chart and heard all the stories about why this is happening, but I want to suggest something here that you don't hear about. Now, this is World War II right here, and right here is 1980, and it really went wild after that. Um, there's a change in shipbuilding and the way ships operate on the ocean at this point in time. I mean, ships got much larger around this point in time. Um, but the number one factor is that's different from prior to World War II is ships began to use diesel fuel and other liquid fuels rather than coal. Now, coal did not require cooling the way because it ran on steam, it could produce steam. But we went away from steam and we went to internal combustion here, which with huge engines, and these huge engines need to be cooled. So what started happening here is that these ships, they draw water directly out of the ocean. It runs through heat exchanger to cool the oils and the cooling fluids for the engine, and then it returns to the sea, sometimes as much as 20 degrees warmer. Keep that in mind, 20 degrees warmer. And what happened here is foreign trade exploded, and the number of ships on the sea exploded as well. Well, back here in World War II, a lot of ships were exploding too, and that's probably can be attributed to a lot of fiery planes crashing into the ocean and everything else, torpedoes exploding, that warmed the ocean. But now we've got thousands of ships. In fact, we've got so many ships that this is a pretty good estimate. Every 30 days, these ships warm enough water. Every 30 days, the ships that are actually on the ocean now warm the water, enough water to cover the state of Texas. Every 30 days. The last 5 years, there's been enough warm water produced by these ships to cover the state of Texas 60 times. So I have no doubt at this point in time that ships are contributing to this rise in temperature. And there are two methods that we can use now that we understand this, to cool the ocean. Both of them were organic. We don't have to launch anything into space, shoot anything up into the atmosphere, have planes running around throwing out contrails or whatever, chemtrails that people claim they're doing. We don't have to do any of that. What we can do is we can start aeration. If we did aeration in the Arctic Ocean, we could rebuild that ice in a year that's been lost around the Arctic ice cap. What happens when you aerate, you push water in a aeration diffusing system, and it creates a bunch of tiny bubbles that are, say, minus 30 degrees, and as these bubbles rise through the ocean to the surface, they create ice. So a lot of this air that we would pump into the ocean up there, and oddly enough, there are a lot of oil rigs in the perfect positions to mount these on oil rigs and actually start cooling the ocean. But I'll just stop with that. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that, but this is a fact, and I believe it's a fact that this rise in temperature is not all attributed to greenhouse gas emissions that we're doing. I believe that a lot of it has to do with these ships warming water, putting it back in the ocean. So we aerate. Some of these ships that are causing the problem could have aeration systems mounted right on them, and it would cost less than 1% of the shipping company's operating costs to do that and to have these systems running the whole time they're running in cooler waters. Another method, also organic, is you take the water, and if you can picture a firefighting ship with those huge plumes of water spraying out, if we did that up in the Arctic where it's minus 30, that would also, by the time that water came down, a lot of it would be actually turning to ice, and it would land on the surface, and it would cool the surface. Because what a lot of people don't realize, and I had the opportunity to see it sitting on the edge of the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario a number of times when polar vortexes came across, you can actually see a thermal barrier above the water that doesn't allow that cold to actually hit the water unless you got a really high wind. Then it'll blow that thermal barrier away. But it lingers. It takes a lot to get rid of that thermal barrier. So with both of these methods, we'd be beating that thermal barrier by, number one, injecting it through aeration, injecting it right under the surface, and the other, the water splashing back down to the surface right through this thermal barrier. So we could actually, these two methods, we could cool the oceans and in turn decrease the number of storms from hell that we've been seeing, and probably cool the whole Earth and learn. We could learn for future generations what to do to keep the climate within a certain range. We can do that, and I think historically that's probably where we're at. So let's just get this going and be positive. Expect good results, because I've been studying this for 45 years, and I believe that we can expect good results. So thanks for watching.